Comrades, this is Aurelio Paredes Bautista again from Imus, Cavite. Today, I shall make you my prediction for the end of the pandemic Covid-19. But first, let me reintroduce to you myself. I am an engineer who passed the board given by the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. So, I have enough knowledge of making graphs, interpreting graphs, and I also am an awardee of De La Salle University as the poet of Cavite. And therefore, I see things differently. And I shall tell you in detail why I chose July 13 as the date when the COVID-19 will be stopped in bothering us. Today, I am showing you the graph showing the deaths produced by the COVID-19. In this graph, you will see that by this time, 345,000 already died. Here I'm showing you how a new moon blocks the sustenance of the sun to the earth. The new moon, the sun, the moon and the earth. And the full moon, which radiates back the sustenance of the sun to the earth. On top of the sustenance that the earth receives from the sun. So you can see the new moon and the full moon alternating in giving us the balance. First, the sustenance was blocked, and then in the full moon, it is radiated back. The moon has a diameter of 2,163 miles, while the Earth has 8,000 miles. The ratio suggests a 25% black during the new moon and a 25% increase during the full moon. The new moon is destructive when it appears in areas having oblique sunlight. When direct sunlight is hitting the place, the effect of the new moon is nullified by the great amount of sustenance from the sun. The full moon adds 25% of the energy previously blocked during the new moon. A full moon is always good in areas hit by direct sunlight or oblique sunlight. Let us always remember that. The contagion in areas under direct sunlight is low. The contagion in areas under oblique sunlight is high because the people do not get the full sustenance from the sun. I shall show it by way of computation later. The term of the pandemic is short in areas with a single time zone. The term of the pandemic in multiple time zones is a little longer. The term is unique in the Philippines. As you can see, there is a short foot here, and the left leg here, and the right leg here, and longer foot. Why longer foot? Because the infection within the country should have run out, except that the OFW, our overseas Filipino workers, came home because of the pandemic, and that lengthens the foot. I am showing you here the position of the earth during what we call the seasons. In December 21, you will see that the sunlight hits the southern portion That's the summer solstice. In March 21, that's what you call the vernal equinox, the summer equinox, and the sun hits the equator here. During the summer solstice in June 21, the sun hits the northern hemisphere, and when it goes to the autumnal equinox in September 23, this is also hitting the equator. I am showing you here December 21 here, the winter solstice. Sometimes it confused me before because it is in the southern hemisphere, it is summer, and they call it winter solstice because this was invented by the northern people. And during the vernal equinox, the sun is about to hit. No, not vernal equinox. The summer solstice, I'm sorry. The sun is hitting the northern portion. The contagion under direct sunlight is lower because it is fed by the sustenance of the sun. So you have here the left foot, the left leg, the right leg here, and the right foot. In a contagion under oblique sunlight, it is very high. And I will explain it to you later by computation. This is the foot, this left leg, the right leg, and the foot. Computations. People in the northern hemisphere are more in number than the people in the southern hemisphere. 53% of the people is beyond the Tropic of Cancer, while between the equator and the Tropic of Cancer we have 29%. In the south, the population between the equator and the Tropic of Capricorn is about 10%, and the population here in this portion of the southern hemisphere is about 8%. The people on Earth are more in the northern hemisphere. That's why we have a very high death rate. The Earth has about 7 billion people scattered all over the place, as shown above. CNN data to show death rate. In the Philippines, 868 died of the 14,035 infected. That is 6%. That's death rate in the Philippines. All over the world, there are 338,000 deaths and 5,200,000 infected. That is 0.065 or 6% also. That's the world death rate. So, if the Philippines and the world death rate are the same, therefore, social distancing is very necessary. Wearing mask and washing your hands, because lower contagion means lower deaths. Another computation. The contagion in areas under direct sunlight, for example, in the Philippines, which is a single time zone, it is lower. So we have here the infection, 14,035. We are in our place with 110 million people. So that is 0.0012 or about 13 men per 100,000. That's the infection rate. The overall world contagion rate is 5.2 million infections over the total population of the world. So, that makes 0.00743. That means 74 men per 100,000. See the disparity? 13 in direct sunlight and 74 in mostly oblique sunlight. The bigger portion of the earth receives oblique sunlight when the Philippines has direct sunlight, which explains why they have 7 times more infection in US, Europe, Russia, and China. You have to excuse me because I am a man of 78 years and therefore my hands are wobbly. This drawing shows the Tropic of Cancer here, the vernal equinox here, the winter solstice here, and the autumnal equinox. Okay, this is the Tropic of Cancer, Capricorn here, below. This is the southern hemisphere, and that is the northern hemisphere. That in all latitudes is known to be 6 per 1,000, according to data which I already said before. America will benefit much as the direct sunlight approaches the mainland in June. So, the sun is coming to the rescue of America, China, India, Russia, and Europe. Brazil will have a hard time and will get a respite only when the rain and tropical typhoons appear. Let us find out later. I am showing you a map which I took from the World Atlas by the Signet Hammond. This one shows you the equator here and the Tropic of Cancer here in the northern hemisphere and the Tropic of Capricorn here below in the southern hemisphere. You can see that on June 21, the sun will be hitting here and therefore will be aiding America in the fight against COVID-19, aiding China, aiding India, and the Soviet Union. This graph is the basis for my prediction for the pandemic in the Philippines. This is the dead. Oh no, infected, I'm sorry. This is the healed. And this is the dead. Okay, if you look at the graph, you will see that this is the crossover point that happened in 15 April 2020. So, what I did was to make a line here, a straight line here, from top to bottom, and using the same distance here, the base of the right triangle. I have here, I'm showing you two right triangles, the right and the left right triangles. And this one length is of the same length here. So it's a symmetrical triangle divided in the middle. So from here, you will see that the infected and the healed follows a line that is considered parallel. That is good. After the crossover point here. and the dead stays on the line. That is my prediction on May 6, because this is May 6. My prediction was that. And the dead is like that. But because of the full moon here, let me say it again. My prediction is 1,200 there and 650 here on May 6. But because of the full moon here and the first quarter moon here, it went up. It shoot up. The recovery shoot up. And I was expecting that. This is like the asymptote in my studies of engineering. That's a line that shoots up and will not touch this line, but is going up almost indefinitely. So that's a good sign. So my prediction was based on the full moon here, the first quarter here, and the time when the crossover point happened here. Indications that show that the COVID-19 is dying out. The deaths per day is going down. Number 2, the rain and the typhoon starts coming, and this announces the end of a summer epidemic. Note, the virus came from the bats, and they were contained in the land and oceans. That is according to many books. The land and ocean breathe out the virus under circumstances favorable to it. The rain and typhoon will suppress that release and will give us health again. The highest infection in one day happens when the dead is at 3,000 per day low figure. I'm sorry. I think I made a mistake here. The highest infection in one day happens when the dead is at 3,000 per day low figure. It means the rate is coming down. After the darkest night comes a bright morning. High infection, lower death rate, that is the bright morning. This is my prediction. My study about this epidemic was started when the infection was starting to hit the Philippines, somewhere here in March. And from there, I saw that it spiked up after the new moon, the Ides of March here. And tracing the line here, you will see that it comes back to the point where you have the winter solstice, December 21, when the sun was above Australia and Indonesia, something like that. And you can see here, May 21, according to CNN, that's the biggest single day of infection. But you can see the death rate is a little bit bowing. It spiked up and a little bit bowing there. But the infection spiked up, but the death rate is going down. See, that is the hint that I am trying to get in order to make my prediction. By May 25, we have here 345,000 dead. And so, we have here the summer solstice in June 21. And this is very close to America. Over India, over Mexico, over China, and very close to Europe. So, I made that my basis for estimating that the COVID will go down to July 13 when you have the last quarter of the moon. So, you can see that I projected it to be about, the death will be about 380,000, but it may be lower or it may be higher depending on social distancing and wearing mask and washing hands. These three are very important things, but it may be lower when people observe the rules set out by the government. See, from June 21, my prediction is made by making a line here, a dotted line here. And from there, it goes up here. And that will be the end. July 13, the last quarter of the moon. The fact is, the virus will not be stopped by man, but the rains and the typhoons will stop the breathing of the land and the oceans, because the land and the oceans are burdened by global warming. And when that happens, the virus will be suppressed, and then we will have our own good times again. My presentation shows you how the tilts in the Earth's axis producing the equinoxes and solstices create disturbances in our immune system, in our minds, so that when it is complicated by the appearance of a new moon, it can create a havoc. In this episode, the COVID-19 pandemic episode, the last part of the pandemic will be June 21, when the axis will be tilted again a little bit, such that the longer day will become shorter and shorter, and the rain will come, and the typhoons will come, creating a balance all over the earth. And so, the virus breathed out by the land and the ocean will be confused, and therefore will be defeated by the forces sent by the Almighty. If you ask me, when will come the help of God? My answer is coming from a holy book. It says, the help of God is always near. Nasrullahi Kareem. So long for now. This is Aurelio Paredes Bautista.